Alright, now that we've cut our burner ring piece, we've cut our inner ring and notched it together, we've dilated our base piece, and we've drilled a hole for our simmer ring piece. We are ready to cut a couple notches, and then we'll be ready for final assembly. One, your simmer ring is going to need notches cut 180 degrees apart on either side. Doesn't matter where they are, it's a circular piece. So go ahead and cut a notch right up through the labeled portion, all the way just about up to where there's bare metal. It doesn't have to be precise, it's just to give it a nice slip fit on the top piece so that you seal off the gas from leaking out of the burner rings when you want it to simmer, keeping the temperatures down. If you want, you can trim these edges up a little bit so you don't leave yourself so many sharp edges in your kit. There you go. That's what the simmer ring looks like. And then you're going to want to take your inner wall, and this is really the first time you really have to designate one edge, the top or the bottom, because the bottom, what is going to become the bottom edge of it, needs to have little notches about a millimeter tall cut along the edge of it. You're going to want about 4 of them, little triangular notches about a millimeter tall, so just tiny little nicks that are going to allow your fuel to flow from the inner chamber of your stove into the outer chamber where it can vaporize. Nicked notches so that your fuel can flow into the vapor chamber. And then we'll move on to the next step. Alright, we're going to take our 3 components of the assembled stove. The simmer ring doesn't count because it stays separate even when the stove is finished. Your base, your burner ring, and your inner wall. And we're going to mix up some 2-part epoxy. I like JB Weld products. They seem to be very strong bond, and they hold up well under the heat that the stove creates. I'm using JB Quick because I like it a little bit better, because rather than having to wait overnight for your epoxy to set, this stuff sets in 5 minutes. Makes for great assembly, not having to worry about something getting bumped and not curing in the right position, but it means I'm going to have to work fast for the video. So when I mix the 2-part epoxy, I'm going to mix it with just a toothpick, and I'm going to spread it along the top edge of the inner ring, and then place that in place in the burner ring, and then spread it on the inside of the base piece, and then this will be already starting to stick and glue in place, and place all of them together. You don't need to put any glue at the base of the inner chamber or inner wall because it doesn't have to form a airtight seal. So I have my 2-part epoxy, paper plate, something disposable to mix it on, because this is going to leave a hard lump of metal-ish substance when you're done, and just a toothpick to mix it and spread it with when you're done. You're just going to want to mix equal parts of the 2 fluids or pastes that are in the tubes. The stuff's not too expensive, so make sure you mix up plenty. You don't want to not have enough. And your time starts ticking once you blend these together, and they start to react and cure. So just mix them together. And you wind up with this kind of grayish gunmetal paste. Once you got a uniform color, just roll up some on the toothpick and start to spread it along the edge. It's going to be a little tricky to work with sometimes. Kind of try and lay a bead along the edge of your inner wall. And you can spread it a little bit. It's not going to matter if it makes a little bit of a mess. You want to get it on the top, and if it goes to one side or the other, it's best to go to the inside, as it'll seal that chamber a little better that way. Be pretty generous with the stuff, so you make sure you actually get a nice epoxy seal all the way across the top. This will help the stove be a little more efficient with its burn, not lose any of your vapor to the inside. If you want, you can find that seam on the back where you notched it together and just lay a bead across that seam. Again, save a little bit more of that vapor. Okay, now that you've got this laid up with the epoxy, you're going to want to try and line it up as best you can to the inside of your burner ring piece and press it together, and there's that. Now we're going to take the rest of the epoxy we mixed up here and line the inside edge of your base piece, and you're going to want to spread this pretty thin, kind of painting it on almost, because it's a pretty tight fit already between the burner ring and the base. You can already see it's starting to get a little more viscous, and we're running out of time. Take your two halves, work with it carefully, line them up, and then just press them together, and in about 5 minutes you have got a functional stove that you can light and boil water with. Give it about 10 minutes just to be safe, and that's it.